First football memory. Ever? Like from a little kid? Probably I was playing flag football for the Indiana Rams, and I was in 3rd grade, and I was a quarterback, and my dad was the head coach, and every time you fumbled a snap from center, you had to take a lap. So that was what I thought football was. I just ran a lot of laps every day at practice because we fumbled probably about 20 snaps a day, and my dad told me that if I improved 1,000%, I'd be horse manure. Can I say manure? But that's not what my dad said. So when I was in 3rd grade, my dad told me if I improved 1,000%, I'd be horse manure. And that's my first memory of football.
You know, it's funny, my dad became a head football coach in college in 1955. I was born in 56. This is the 63rd year of Bowden has been a head coach in college football, and I'm fortunate to be carrying on that. But with that, you've got many memories of football. When I was 5 or 6 years old, my father was a head football coach, Samford University in Birmingham, and that was the first time I think I can remember going to a game and being a part of the team, a part of the sideline. But what was funny, we had hills beside the field, and all I wanted to do was slide up and down the fields, up and down the hills beside the field, didn't pay attention to the game. And then I came back 20 years later to be the head coach at that same university. And sure enough, my son was sliding up and down that same hill. There's something great about being a part of college football, being a part of a legacy like my family, and being a second generation or a second 50 years of continuous coaching. But I think you appreciate being a part of all that. The memories I have as a child, being around a football coach in a football stadium, and then having my own children, my own son, do the same thing now that I'm at the MAC, in the MAC.
My first football memory was probably asking my dad to play football. He finally said yes. This was when I was like 8 years old. He took me to practice, and they asked me what position I played, and I didn't know. So we were just kind of like messing around with the other kids, and I threw a ball that was probably like 20 or 30 yards, which was like really far then. And they were like, all right, you're going to play quarterback. I was like, okay. I didn't know what that meant, and now here I am.
My first football memory. Oh, wow. That's a great question. The first football memory I have in terms of being a fan was my dad took me to a Chicago Bears game, right? And I was a big fan of, you know, the Walter Paytons and the Dennis Gentrys and Mike Singletaries, and that was big for me because we didn't grow up with much money. Going to a sporting event was huge for me. That actually got me really interested in football. One of my greatest memories of football is flag football, believe it or not. My first memories is flag football, and I would play flag football, and I just loved the purity of the game, how much energy you had to use to play the game. And then going back at the house and using the trees as receivers and throwing balls into the trees, tackling newly planted trees my mom or dad just planted, and I'd rip them out of the ground by tackling them. Playing in 3 feet of snow out in the front yard just to go outside in shorts and no shoes, just to go out there during the middle of the game because you had that urge to go play. And you just kind of played with you. And there wasn't that many people on the street, so I just kind of found different ways. Trash cans, you know, lining them up as the offensive and defensive lineman, talking to yourself, commentating the game from the start to finish as a player. But I'm 7, doing it all by myself. So punting it to myself, kicking it to myself. It was, you think I don't have any friends, right? But those were the memories that made the game so much fun and so pure that those days aren't here anymore.
Probably my first football memory is, I have a twin brother. And me and him probably playing in our front yard, and we used to always, we would get my dad to throw to us. He'd be the all-time quarterback, and I'd play with my twin brother and kind of run around the front yard. Whoever lost would end up crying to my mom. It's kind of how that would end up going, but it was always a good time. And I think definitely helped me to kind of develop my skills as a football player, like having a twin brother to be able to run around with. But I think that was always that's definitely when I learned I love the game of football.
Pretty much I was like probably 8 years old, and I ran for like 2 touchdowns and I didn't get tackled the whole game. Then the first time I ran down the sideline, I got hit real hard, arm swelled up real like a baseball, and then that was the first time, I'm not even gonna lie, I kind of cried because it was the first time I got hit.
Ooh, my very first football memory is, well, I've got a couple of them. I started playing football when I was 5, and it's kind of embarrassing a little bit, but I have 2 older sisters, and my dad was a football coach, Little League football coach. So one day my mom came downstairs, and my sisters had me dressed up in dresses. So when my dad came home, she said, "You're going with him tomorrow." So that's how I started playing football. It was, I can kind of give my older sisters credit for me starting so young.
My first football memory goes back to the front yard at my friend's house. You know, we had a neighborhood full of 6 or 7 guys. We'd always go there, but I was always the biggest kid, so they wouldn't let me play unless I was all-time quarterback. So that was kind of cool. They didn't want to tackle me. So then we called our neighborhood Happy Valley. So we were, you know, slinging it around in Happy Valley. So that was a lot of fun.